Hello and welcome back to Raised by Giants, where we talk all things spirituality. I'm Ryder Lee. Today's guest is David Lotherington. I've been working with David for over a year now, so it's amazing to have him on. We're going to get into some really awesome topics and hopefully a channeling here towards the end. So if you just want to listen to the channeling, I'll leave the time code in the description. But before we get into all that, I'm going to read David's bio to give you a little better idea of what he does. At the age of 29, David began his awakening. His abilities began to come in waves as he developed. The more he healed himself and others, the more skills and memories came forward to be remembered. David has had full recall of his past lives, his involvement in the secret space program, and abilities that he has developed over previous lives, giving him a plethora of resources to draw information and skills from, and bringing them into his experience. He remembered over 25 past lives and centuries worth of work in the SSP, along with memories of working with non-terrestrials and also of entering his current body as a soul. All of this has assisted David in helping others who are lost and looking for a way back, for those who are looking to enhance themselves. David is a proficient psychic surgeon, channeler, Akashic Records reader, philosopher, teacher, and hopes to share his knowledge with as many people as possible. Welcome, David. Thanks so much for coming on. How are you?
Hey, Ryder. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. In your bio, it says that you had an awakening at the age of 29. So talk to us a little bit about that and how being a super soldier and having involvement with the SSP has had anything to do with that awakening process.
Okay, so for me, it might have been more accurate to say it was around 28 because what I remember is that everything happens in 7-year cycles. Every 7 years, we're faced with a great test. So for me, from 28 to 35 years old was my psychic developmental cycle, apparently. But anyway, what happened to me when I was about 28 years old was I was actually with my girlfriend at the time, and she said, check out this planet. It's just like Earth. And I was totally closed-eyed at the time. I was working as a paramedic, and I didn't really know anything about anything spiritually. I was just kind of a drone, I guess. I don't know. I was just doing what other people thought was good for me. Anyway, I clicked that link. I was watching that video, and then it led to another link, which was about aliens. And I was like, what is all of this? And my mind was opened. So I started to get almost addicted to watching people channel and read automatic writing sessions. But the thing with my ex, it's actually my ex-wife, what happened was she was Chinese, or she is Chinese, and in China it's taboo to have psychic abilities. So she never wanted me to have psychic abilities, and she was worried that I was going to become a healer or something like that, because I really enjoyed helping people. And whenever I would look into psychic stuff, she would freak out, like go from 0 to 10 in anger. And I started to do my studies secretly on my lunch breaks and in my breaks when I was at work, because I just couldn't help myself. Anyway, I ended up getting divorced, and then I really started to blossom as far as psychic abilities went. I spent like 8 hours a day just researching stuff for like a year. So that was kind of like a dark night of the soul for me, that full year. But at the end of the year, I kind of came out, I looked around the world like, oh, it's different now. How did I even exist before this? And that's kind of what happened in the very beginning. But related to super soldier stuff, I wasn't even aware of any of that until a couple of years into my spiritual development or awakening process.
So, oh shoot, I'm sorry. So there's a difference between being a super soldier and being a SSP asset. Am I correct? You can be one without the other, right? So maybe explain a little bit of the differences between being a super soldier and being an SSP.
Okay, well, there's some common discrepancies that people think when they think of super soldier? Well, the people that don't completely dismiss it, the ones that know a little bit about it, when they hear they're from the super soldier program, they assume that they're a warrior. They're like a fighter or something like that. But you can be in the super soldier program and be an accountant. You can be in the super soldier program and be a pilot or a librarian or something like that. You don't have to actually be an active tactical unit. Now, for me, I have lots of different memories being in different avatars and using different bodies to perform functions that my higher self can actually control these bodies, and then it's like the avatar essentially.
So how did you receive your memories? Just by doing your own work, or were you regressed, or like how did that process happen?
Okay, so this process happened over a couple of years period of time. I initially I took Reiki because I wanted to do healing with people. And after I did my first level of Reiki attunement, my abilities started to come forward, like my empathy, clairvoyance, and clairaudience started to manifest. I didn't really know what it was at the time. And to be honest, like concurrently, I was very naive. I just wanted to open up my third eye so I could do telekinesis. That's all I cared about. Don't ever do that, please. But the shitty thing was I was still with my ex at the time, and it was a very bad relationship. So my vibration was pretty low. And I remember I did this 4 days in a row. I did this meditation for opening up the third eye. And on the fourth day, it was pitch black in the room because you can do psychic abilities better in the dark due to melatonin. I seen this black shadow figure walk in front of me. And at that time I was in a bad place. So I was like, oh shit, what is this? I immediately like went to the bed and like just threw the sheets over my head like a child. And I was like, close. So it actually did close my third eye or my clairvoyance down for quite some time still. So that's why I don't recommend opening up your third eye manually if you're in a low place. Otherwise, it's going to suck in the future. So I kind of lost train of thought of my question, though.
Basically, how you received your memories of being in the SSP.
So it took me about a year to go from Reiki level 1 to Reiki level 2. And during that period of time, my second attunement process is when my abilities really started to ramp up and I started to get flashes of memories. After that, it seems like every time I would do a Reiki session on myself, I started to do them every day on myself with real intent to heal myself, all this inner child stuff and all this trauma. And I started to heal. My emotional intelligence went up because I was thinking of things in different ways. And then I started to go to like sound healing and stuff like that once in a while. And one thing I did notice that every time I went to some sort of ceremony, like symbols for sound healing or whatever it is, I would always come back with a new ability. So that's usually how it worked for me. Whenever I heal myself, I've had QHHT sessions before. That's been very helpful. Actually, I did it once with James Rink, and I did it once with the Egyptian Rising Phoenix as well. And they both did a great job. But one thing I noticed is some QHHT practitioners are more skilled because they can actually glean you, which means they can see what you're seeing as you see it while you're in a hypnotic state. So that allows him to guide me better. It's like he's walking there next to me while it's happening. And that's when I really started to get vivid imagery of my previous lives and things like that.
So do you think that your abilities and your healing abilities and your abilities and your channeling actually comes from you being involved in the SSP and being a super soldier, or do you think that that's separate?
It's all together. It's one giant kettle of fish. Aliens, super soldiers, psychic abilities, your higher self, and the integration with that. It's all together in the same thing.
How was it that you got to be a part of the SSP and be a super soldier, because like Penny Bradley and others, like they were, a part of the MK Ultra mind control, and they were abducted by the CIA and basically tortured. Was that a process that you went through as well, or was it a different process?
I had a different process, and from the memories that I have, I was it's kind of complicated, but I was born on a ship called the Teleon, or not the Teleon, the Kalandi. And what happened was my father's DNA was taken and worked on for a period of time. And then that was put into a fetus. That fetus was this physical body here. But I wasn't in a human body at the time. I was in a looping body working on this body. So it's very confusing. And then they put the fetus into my mother to be naturally born. So I was born with the vibration of the planet rather than the vibration of the craft, because the vibration of the craft, those that are born on the craft, they don't quite, I'll say, equalize well with the planet. All of this information didn't come forward until maybe a year and a half ago. And I knew about that I had a life as a looping, because as a child, I was always attracted to blue beast-like beings, and I never knew why. I never made the correlation until like this year. So I love Nightcrawler from X-Men. I love Beast from X-Men. And there was another one. Oh yeah, Goldar from the Power Rangers. I never knew why I loved them, but I just love them. And I found out that I was a blue wolf being. And Beast is actually pretty similar to that in this new animated show on Netflix. So anyway.
That's interesting, because I always liked the movies Underworld. You ever watched the Underworld movies with the Lycans?
Yeah.
Because that was kind of what the Lupin beings look like, or like they're wolf beings, right?
When you said Underworld, I was thinking Waterworld. Kevin Costner? That's funny. Yeah, they look quite different from the Lycans from that. They look kind of like a mix of a panther and a wolf together, but they walk on 2 feet.
So what is this ship that, are you in contact with the ship that you were basically cultivated on, and then your fetus was put into your mother? Are you in contact with the beings that are on that ship today?
They contact me from time to time, and they have some component in my emotional regulation to make sure that I'm healthy. But they don't really talk to me. Like, I have a crew that I do talk with the Teleon group, who I do DNA infusions with, but I don't normally talk to the other crew. So
let's get into a little bit about the different kinds of ET races that you're in contact with, and that you do your channeling through, because a lot of people would say that you're basically channeling demons, right? That you're channeling negative demons, negative spirits, and all that. So I just want to kind of nip that in the bud right here, and give us how you differentiate between a negative ET, because there's obviously negative ET. There's positive ET, right? Because there's that polarity that we have to, kind of go through a balance, right? And if they were all negative, then it would tip the scales too far in that direction. If they were all positive, it would tip the scales too far in that direction, right? Yeah. So there's good ETs, just like there's good humans on the planet, and then there's bad ETs, just like there's bad humans on the planet. But for some, they can't really grasp that concept, and they just go one way or the other. A lot of them do. They're like, oh, they're all great, they're all here for us, they all love us. Or they're all demons, they're all here to kill us and take over and invade us. So
the second one is just, you should not have that train of thought. If you had that train of thought, it's actually illogical, because they're so powerful that they could destroy us with one ship, some species. If they wanted, they just do it. So you can just wipe that from your mind. The difference in a demon and a negative entity, is that what you were referring? Or just aliens and demons?
Just how you basically know on a personal level that you're channeling something that's coming through that's positive for us. And like, basically, I would say that it would be the vibration of the entity that's coming through, right? If it's a loving vibration, then it's positive. If it's a negative vibration, then it's going to be anger, hate, and
But the thing with that is most people, I'll say, there's different clairs, okay? So different psychic abilities for everyone. If someone's clairvoyant and they have clear seeing, but they don't have empathy as a psychic ability, then they can see something that might look like an angel, but it might not actually be an angel. It could be a negative entity. It can be a negative non-terrestrial species. But if you have empathy as a psychic ability, you can feel other people's emotions as your own. Is what that means.
Mhm.
And you can feel what is right and what is wrong, what is truth and what is a lie. So to answer your question, empathy is how I tell the difference in what feels right and what feels wrong. When it feels wrong, I don't deal with that. But the reason why I know it's not a negative being coming through is because of the guidelines that I set with my crew, or my spirit guides as well. So I just say only beings that serve my greatest good can come through. Any being that comes through cannot harm me or the person that I'm dealing with. And all information that comes through is truthful and serves the greatest good of everyone listening. So those are some mantras that I know, that so I don't have to worry about, am I going to channel a negative being or not? I don't have to worry about that. Regarding, I just want to address this because this is kind of a big one. How do I know if it's an angel or a demon? Or not an angel, but an alien or a demon? I can tell because the energies are different. I remove entities for a living. When I do psychic surgery, I'll remove them from people's fields. And they feel like emotions, certain emotions. Each entity feeds off of a particular vibrational frequency, which is equal to a different emotion. And they're just goopy, crappy things. Most of them aren't sentient. Most of them are just ambient beings that are just lurking around in our environment. Whereas non-terrestrials are conscious. They have trains of thoughts. They have agendas. They have all of this. And while entities, negative entities like demons are very rare, I'll say. People think all entities are demons, but that's not the case. Entities that are demons are very, very strong entities. So I could explain, but it would take some time.
So have you encountered a non-terrestrial entity on anyone before while you're doing your healing in psychic surgery?
I've only found one when I was doing a house clearing. And that was a fourth dimensional entity. And there is karmic associated with killing them, I found out as well. So, but this one was like specifically bothering this child. It was actually a teenager. And they're like, there's something in the house. We don't know what it was. And I found it. It was in the corner right where they, well, they told me afterwards that it was in that corner. And I was like, oh, that's where I removed the thing from, actually. And they're like, they put their hands to their mouth, just surprised that, I seen the same thing that they knew already.
So if someone isn't actually able to hire someone as yourself to remove these entities or these negative parasites, because I believe that that's what they are. They're feeding off of us. They're parasites. They're feeding off of our energy, right? So if they're not able to remove it by someone like yourself, what would be the best way for someone to go about doing that themselves, right? Like a lot of people believe that saging and doing, Palo Santo and burning sage actually relieves the spirits, and maybe working with some singing bowls and to raise the vibration of the room and things like that. But do you have any tips for people to remove those negative entities on their own?
Well, to remove negative entities, I can't make too many recommendations because they vary in great ability. Some of them are weak, and sure, you can watch a video on how to remove, how to do energy healing on yourself. if you raise your vibration, then you become too high vibrational for the entity to stay in your field. So raise your vibration up, and that will make you incompatible. So the entity will have to leave, firstly. But I think something that's been troubling more people is that they don't cut ties. So if you go throughout your life and you have, say you have a negative aunt who just vamps off of you, and you go to the house, she's very dramatic, she drains your energy, and you just leave just completely sapped. I know everybody has that person in their life.
Yeah.
But if you imagine these negative people, and then imagine cords coming out of your body, it can be in your front, your back, your sides, whatever. Take your hand and imagine the bottom of your hand is like a blade. And you want to cut all of these cords off of yourself, from first the front, then the sides, and then the back. And as you move down, just imagine your hand cutting through those cords. And as you do that, that will break the psychic links, the tethers that other people have had connected to you. And this is an issue that energy healers have all the time, because they don't cut ties usually, but you should do it after every dramatic thing that happens in your life, or every person that is, say that I give energy to, because when I talk to somebody and I've given them energy healing in the past, they might automatically connect to me for energy, but they don't know that they're doing it.
Right.
So they will unconsciously connect to me to get energy. So I just have to cut that.
Yeah, that's important, because then that can create also trauma, and then other karmic you be taking on someone else's, bad energy unknowingly. Right. Yeah. So what is it like whenever you're, so back to the entity thing. So when do you normally see more negative entities and parasitic vampiric entities on people, or do you just see them in their home or like around them? Is it?
Well, I used to do house clearings. I don't do them anymore. But I would say people usually have them in their field. Now, a lot of entities come in our life from before the age of 7, but they can come throughout our lives at any time. Whenever we're in a dark place for an extended period of time, we become susceptible to entities. So it's important that after you have an argument, you find a way to vent, you find a way to shake it off and process and integrate that trauma. Rather than, because sometimes what happens is when people, they have a traumatic event, maybe they were raped or maybe they were abused in some way, what happens is they go into this closure, self-closure, and they hide away from the world. And maybe they'll just watch TV all day, or maybe they'll get into drugs, or they become addicted to food, or the truth is they become addicted to escapism. And if they don't get addicted to escapism, they can begin to disassociate. So that's like daydreaming, for example. And they disassociate to escape from the trauma that they don't want to integrate and heal. So that's usually what happens. So.
Right, because it's difficult for them to go back and relive that, because whenever you're trying to integrate and cut ties with your trauma, you have to go in and relive it, right? And people, a lot of times they don't want to have to relive it,
Yeah.
And
that can be really difficult. That's usually what stops people from healing, is fear of going back to that same moment. But you have to be courageous with yourself, and you have to love yourself enough to heal yourself as well.
Right, I agree. So whenever you're doing your psychic surgery, because I think this is a very important thing, because I've worked with you, quite a bit over the past year, and so take us a little bit through the process of somebody that would like to work with you, and what you would do for them and how you would heal them.
Sure. Well, a lot of my clients are female, around the age of 50, but they can be any age. I don't usually treat the younglings just because they're not awake yet usually. But I have worked on several awake younger people. So when someone comes to me, they say, "Hey, Dave, I want a session." There's a lot of things we can do. If they don't say anything specific that they want to do, then I'll say, let's just do a generic session. So they come, we book a time, make a payment, blah, blah, blah. What I do is we have a little chat as to what's important for them to work on. And then I create a proxy of their energetic field right next to me. And then from that energetic field, I can check out each chakra. And when I look at the chakras, I see a percentage associated with how blocked up a chakra is. And when a chakra is more blocked up, let's take the root chakra, for example, that means that they have problems with stability, with the foundation in their life. Do they have enough food, clothing, money, and are they comfortable? So if someone's really blocked up in the root chakra, they might be moving from place to place to place. They don't have any stable place in their life, or they might be having consistent money issues. Anyway, what happens is when a chakra is blocked up, it can't manifest. It's not allowed to manifest. So I remove the blockage from the chakra, and that causes the energy within the body to synchronize itself. It aligns the fields within the body. And then that is projected out in your aura, because the body will begin to heal itself. And then physical problems begin to fade away, physical symptoms. As the physical symptoms are your body telling you where there's a blockage. So if you have issues in your legs, your knees, your feet, your hips, lower back, then that's probably your root chakra, and maybe even your sacral. So if you remove the blockages, your body doesn't need to tell you that there's a blockage there. So it won't need to show you by giving you pain or discomfort or creating disease somewhere in your body.
Yeah, that's the first time that we worked together. It was incredible, because it felt like a weight had just been lifted up off of me. You know what I mean? Because obviously the first time I was super blocked up, and it was just like I was just lighter, just so much lighter, and it was a beautiful thing. And I would really recommend anybody that would that needs this and needs an uplifting type of session, just to book one with David, because I'm telling you, he's like 100% legit. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and he does super solid work. And
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really incredible how so whenever you get in there and you look at the chakra, you're seeing all this visually, right?
Yeah.
So you get in there and you remove the negative, the blockages, right? Have you is it possible for an entity or a negative parasitic type of consciousness to be in a certain area of your body, like in a certain chakra?
Oh, yeah. And like I said before, entities are attracted to certain vibrational frequencies. Each one of our chakras, anyone that does sound bowls or any type of vibrational therapy would know that each chakra has a different note associated with it. For example, the root chakra, I believe, is C. And they move up the scale as you move up the chakras. So in the same way, entities, they're connected to different things. For example, your solar plexus chakra is associated with personal power. If you have power issues, you're controlling, you have anxiety, all of this stuff is associated with the solar plexus. If you have an entity that wants more power, you think that you have no power throughout your whole life, and then you attract something that you attract something that just feeds off of that type of energy of not having enough, right? And then you'll bring that into your life. So, but I wanted to address one thing. When I'm checking someone's field, I see with clairvoyance, I feel with empathy. So I can actually feel energy getting pulled from my hand or pushed away from my hand. And there's different layers of the field as well. And then my guides are also telling me what I'm seeing as well. So it's happening in more way than one. It happens with as many psychic abilities as you have. focused on that one person's field. So I might be talking to someone's spirit guides while I'm doing the session, and they're saying, check his knee, or you should mention he has his toe,
Yeah.
or something like that. So
Yeah, it's beautiful that you're able to see it and hear it at the same time. So a crazy good ability to have. So what's some other things that you offer? You offer Akashic Records reading. How do you basically, what is Akashic Records and how do you access those?
sure. The Akashic Records is also known as the Book of Life. It is the information of everything. It is every, let's just put it this way. If you imagine each person is a book to be read, and the different pages represent different moments in time in their life, you can go back and forward through this book and see the different times and things that have occurred in that time of their life. So essentially, someone can look at the Akashic Records and they'll go back like 2 or 3 books and they'll see, oh, you had a past life as a non-terrestrial being, or, oh, you have a past life as Jacques Cousteau, or whatever. That's essentially what I do with the Akashic Records. I look forward and back through time to find information to help people. So some things that people don't know about the Akashic Records is that you can download information packets from the Akashic Records if you can access the records. So if you want to learn how to do telepathy better, download a program on how to do telepathy. And you might get a download or the high-pitched sound in your ear for like a month. That's what I had. And I'm not even finished. But then every time I go towards telepathy, I know more about it. And I'm not reading it from a book. I just know more. It's difficult to describe.
Yeah, it's crazy because I've been talking about programming and a lot of that through my channel. A lot the basically everything in our reality is programmable, because I think I don't know that we live in a holographic simulation, right? And if we live in a holographic simulation, then everything in our reality is programmable. I can program this cup to hydrate me better every single time I put water in it.
Yeah.
I can program a coin to bring me good luck. I can program a crystal to heal me and help me.
Yeah.
So that's I think a lot of people don't realize that how programmable our reality really is, and how we set our intention. And when we set our intention, it creates our reality, right? Like our thoughts project out into our reality.
I agree. Yes, regarding programming our consciousness matrix, there's many things that you can do. One of those things is use magic. Now, magic kind of gets clumped into the mystical foo-foo, but there's something real about magic, and I won't get too deep into this today because it's kind of something that I don't want everybody to know, because not everybody is honorable, has integrity, or is lighthearted, I'll say, or has good polarity.
Yeah.
Right. But magic gives you the ability to reprogram the consciousness matrix. It's essentially a game genie for a game.
Game Shark.
Yeah, it's a game shark that allows you to overcome lessons very rapidly. For example, if you charge up your chakras with magic, I hope I don't get any flack for saying this. You charge up your chakras with magic, and then you use, I don't want to say too much, you use a spell to release that magic to overcome a lesson. Say you're having problems with money, but in order to get out of that slump, you need to find self-confidence, you need to find your passion, you need to find out what you're good at, and then atone or work on that skill, and then keep building yourself up this scale. But with the Game Shark, with magic, you can just go from 0.1 to 0.98 instantly, and you don't have to work through all these lessons.
Yeah, and then but also magic has been really demonized a lot, through religion, through different avenues. They think that it's all evil and it's all demonic, just like what we were talking about with the channeling, right? So it's
Hmm.
like it's crazy how people have like these certain perceptions in their mind and they can't break out of it. They just have a super narrow view of reality that
Hmm.
anything outside of that reality isn't real, and they just demonize everything that they don't believe, right,
Or understand.
or understand. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of that fear comes from religion and programming within religion. Primarily, I believe that's the seed of it is religion, because like I went to church when I was younger. I don't hate God or I don't hate Jesus. Those things are great.
Mm.
Um, but there are a lot of people that believe there's only one way to live, and that's not accurate for anybody. We need to all coalesce together as a society to be able to function. Each of us has different traits and abilities that complement each other. And when we work together, we can actually use those abilities, which gives us purpose, which gets rid of depression.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too, and that I mean, and that's not to hate on anybody that believes in religion. Like that's your prerogative, but it doesn't serve me, and it doesn't serve yourself if you're constantly telling others that they're wrong. That doesn't help us expand. It doesn't help you expand, right?
Right.
So
But that's the ego. The
yeah.
ego always wants to control other people. Now, that's how you know when it's out of check. When you try to push your beliefs on other people because you think you know better, that's ego. We need to be able to accept that someone else's beliefs are as they are, and that's okay with that. So just be mindful, and we have to check ourselves when that happens because for a long time I did that. I was like, I'm gonna show my dad like all of the secrets of the universe and blah blah blah, and he was like, nope, nope. And what would happen to me was I became extremely frustrated, and my frustration turned to anger and resentment because I wasn't being heard, and that caused blockages, in the throat chakra, for example. And I just came to terms with myself one day and I was like, you know what? I've been trying to do this for talking about to him about, self growth and development for like 20 years.
Mhm.
And he just wasn't having it, just doesn't want to hear it because I'm his son. And that's okay. And that happens. So I just accepted that. And I said, screw it. You know what? I'm just going to let him do his thing. And when his time is done, is done. That's it.
Yeah, there's levels to all this, right? And forcing our opinions and forcing our beliefs down someone's throat that's for the media. That's what the media does. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we expect that from the media because we know that they're controlled and we know that what their agenda is. But expecting it from your friend or expecting it from your family is a whole other ball game, right? And
Mm.
it hits us in our heart and it hits us in our gut. And that's kind of what happened to me with on my awakening journey, is that I had all of this I was awakening and I had all of this knowledge. I was getting all of these downloads and everything, and I didn't know how to deal with it because the people and the surroundings and everything that I was around wasn't conducive to what I was experiencing, right?
Mm.
So I went inside myself and I just caved in upon myself, and then I started looking for other things to numb me out, because I
Yep.
couldn't talk to anybody about it. I felt like I was alone. you know so that's the main reason why I really want to do this channel and talk to people like yourself, is to let people know that they're not alone, that they're not crazy, that they don't have to be go so far down the rabbit hole that they completely lose themselves.
And that can happen.
That
And for the people that watch Super Soldier content, I just want them to know that just try to watch maybe 10% of what they're watching as far as Super Soldier stuff goes. Because if you only watch Super Soldier stuff, you get into a really dark place. There's a lot of people that are consumed by paranoia because all they do is watch that. But be mindful of your time. You have so much free time per day. And if you spend all of it watching this kind of content, then that's the percentage of whatever darkness, government is bad, all this stuff that you're absorbing into your everyday life. So be very mindful of that. Try to watch self-empowering stuff, how to talk better with ladies, how to work better with your business. I don't know what it is. Eat better, right?
Yeah, motivational things,
Yeah.
Yeah. For my last question here, before we get into your channeling, on the topic of what we were just talking about, I've found that basically a very small fraction of our time is dedicated to our soul mission and our soul purpose, right? So maybe talk a little bit about how the percentages of that and how much time we should be dedicating to our soul mission, because I think a lot of people, they want to just get engulfed all in their soul mission and their purpose in life, and they only want to focus on that when there's so much more, and we're here to experience this reality and experience this world. We're in a human, in a human shell in this avatar, right? And we're here to experience everything, not just one singular reality or one singular view or one singular thing.
I think that's a great thing to bring up for many people. So what happens is when someone receives information through channeling or whatever, sometimes they can take this as divine intervention. And they're like, God is telling me to do this, and I need to make this my life. But in truth, most missions are very small. They take maybe 1 or 2% of the total amount of your life and time to accomplish. Now, the biggest missions that I've ever seen took like 14% of someone's life, which is a lot of time, actually. But it still means that you can have a pretty regular life and still do that. So it's important that some people with small missions are spending their entire lives doing a small mission, and there's nothing bad about that, but you don't need to put so much time, so much effort into that. Just make sure you go towards your greatest excitement, you do what makes you happy, and that is what you want to go towards, no matter what, how big your mission is.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that, because I think that a lot of people really need to recognize that, what you just said, because a lot of people get lost in figuring out what their soul mission is and their life purpose, and they just drowned in that too, just like they drowned in the conspiracies and the super soldier talk and all of those things, right? So thank you.
And just be mindful that when they're drowning themselves in it, sometimes that's escapism.
Right. And then it turns into an addiction, and then before you know it, you're right back where you started.
That's right. So that's why we meditate. We meditate to process those things in our subconscious mind that want to be processed. And when they're processed, then they don't have to keep coming to the surface, and you don't need to escape from them. Spend some time sitting by yourself in a peaceful place. You don't have to do your hand positions. You don't have to sit down in lotus position. You just need to chill by yourself in quiet place and just let things run through your mind. Don't fall asleep. Let the things run through your mind and allow your mind to go where it wants to go. And when a thought comes in your mind that wants to kind of stick, think about it. Think about it in every different perception that you can. How did it make me feel? How did they feel? Why am I experiencing this? How can I look at it in a different angle? What did I learn from this? There are a couple questions that you can ask yourself. And when you process these things, you can overcome them. You're not trying to beat it. You're trying to understand it and allow yourself to heal that memory. If you do this enough with different memories, then eventually you'll have a low amount of things being processed in your mind, maybe 3 or 4 things at once, rather than having a busy day full of things you have to take care of in your head at once. And then your team can communicate with you when you only have a few things knocking around up there, because it's clear. They're not competing against all the subconscious thoughts in your head.
Yes, that's beautiful, and that's something that it took me a while to figure out. And I feel like that if I would have figured that out way sooner, then I wouldn't have had a lot of problems and a lot of issues going on in my life. But I think everything happens on divine timing, right? But yeah, that's exactly what I've done, and I think that that's what a lot of people, should really get into is some kind of spiritual practice, right?
Mhm.
Doesn't matter if it's meditation, it can be whatever you really want it to be, as long as you're able to process things and quiet down your mind. You can do a walking meditation, that's a thing too.
Yeah.
You don't have to just be laying down all quiet in your zen pose, like you said, with your hands out. I mean, that's the process that I go through, right? But I believe it's important to create a routine, right? And do that spiritual practice every single day and be consistent with it.
I would recommend I would say the best times to do spiritual work is right after you wake up, before you open your eyes, right before you go to bed, as you're lying in your bed, while you're using the bathroom, maybe, and when you're in the shower. And the reason I say that is because during those moments, that's when your nervous system switches. It switches from your sympathetic nervous system over to your parasympathetic nervous system. And when that happens, that takes 3 deep breaths to initiate. That's why we're all fight or flight mode before we're while we're working in that state when the nervous system is there. But when we switch over, we go to feed and breathe mode, and that's when we can relax and take a deep breath and actually have a shit. And that's when your psychic abilities are going to be working.
Yeah, and then that's also, it doesn't take up a large amount of your day if you're doing it while you're already doing something else, right? Like while you're going to bed, or before you're getting ready to go to bed, that's when I do my meditation, right? Because you're already in that state of mind of rest, right?
Yeah.
And then whenever you wake up in the morning, you're already in that state of mind of rest. So you're not actually taking up any more of your busy day out of your schedule, because a lot of people are working, they have a lot of things they need to take care of, and people think that, oh, well, I don't have time to do that, I don't have time to meditate, I don't have time. Well, you can integrate it into your normal routine of your everyday life.
Yeah. Do it while you're in the shower. If you take 10 minutes in the shower, that's 10 minutes of meditation. You can literally lather your hair. Okay, that's not a very hard thing to do. Or lather your body while you're zoned out. You don't even have to think of it. It might take 2 extra minutes in the shower and you'll get tons of information.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
For everyone else, please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. And remember, we're not only in a spiritual war, but a war on humanity. Stay aware, stay alert, keep love in your heart for everyone, and stay safe out there.